sprayers and different sprayers we offer, some different add-on features. Then we're going to wrap the day up with some parts, talk about some new parts and things we have and some specials and things that might make your sprayer run a little better. But first off, we're going to start off with Ethan. We're going to talk about, like I said, AutoTrac Vision, but we've got a quick video also with that to show you. So we'll get started.
Okay. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay. Okay, so like he said, my name's Ethan Ziegler. I'm from the Hay Store. I just wanted to talk a little bit today about some attachments that Deere came out with a couple years ago. They're called AutoTrac Vision and AutoTrac RowSense. If we get a picture pulled up, we can show you, but it's supposed to help you guys be a little more, when he gets it pulled up, you'll notice AutoTrac Vision is a camera you guys mount over there on the, on your sprayer bracket, on your boom bracket, and it's a camera that looks down the rows, and it basically corrects your GPS signals when you're going down. If you stray off a little bit, or if you planted that not on GPS, or if your signal was bad and you got a little crooked, or if you're using adaptive curves, if the crop is 0 to 6 inches tall and it can see a little bit of green, it'll follow the rows as you're going down, so you're not running over crop. Increase a little bit of productivity since you're able to go faster, and at the end of the day, you're not really worn out from looking at rows, trying not to run over anything. But yeah, there should be a picture of the Vision up top there. Sales manual. So yeah, this little camera over here, this is just over on the right hand side. Like I said, good up to 6 inches. And then over here on the left, you'll see that camera is mounted on the receiver. That's if you're running on a tractor application and you're running basically side dress in a smaller crop. You can use it on a tractor as well. Once you get over 6 inches, we'll turn it over to the paddles, AutoTrac RowSense. So these are 2 paddles that are on each of the front wheels. There's 3 different settings depending on how tall your crop is, and those, just like the Vision, it'll sense, if the left side is having a little more tension on it, or the right side, and it'll adjust your AutoTrac. Easy to take off. It's 2 bolts, and installation is pretty easy. Basically routes up underneath the under your sprayer and then into a controller on the back of your sprayer. So cost on them, it really kind of depends on what you have. It's different for all models, whether you have a 2630 in the cab or a 4640. But AutoTrac RowSense with just the feelers, because some guys don't run in, they don't want the Vision on it. It'll run you around $7,200, and then if you want the Vision on it, it'll add another $6,000. So like on a 4730, if you're on a 2630, it'd be around $7,200 if you're wanting just the RowSense, since you do have to have that activation. And I'll talk a little bit more. There's a third-party company. It's called Yield 360. They have something called 360 Guide System. I'll touch on this after the video, but when you're running this RowSense, if you happen to have a RowSense on your combine, that activation is good for that too. So let's watch the video.
Today, we're introducing 2 highly productive additions to the Precision Ag product portfolio: AutoTrac Vision and AutoTrac RowSense guidance solutions for our 4 Series sprayer line. Designed specifically for post-emerge row crops, these new guidance systems allow operators to drive faster compared to manual steering in straight rows. Just by increasing spray speeds by 3 to 4 miles per hour, an ag service provider could add up to $1,200 in revenue per day. That's because AutoTrack hands-free steering helps the sprayer stay on track without taking out plants or wearing out your operator. In fact, we've taken all the advantages you already appreciate and further optimized this popular guidance product for use in post-emerge row crops, including corn, soybeans, and cotton. Our industry-exclusive AutoTrack Vision system uses a frame-mounted camera to see early season crop rows. And with a paddle sensor mounted on the sprayer's front wheels, AutoTrack RowSense can feel the corn stalks in late season rows. Both systems send these input adjustments to AutoTrack, helping the sprayer wheel stay in the center of the row, preventing crop damage. Operators can have confidence in AutoTrack when following standing row crops, even if planter drift causes misalignment or the AB line from planting isn't available at spraying. Best of all, this industry-leading technology helps boost productivity with faster possible operating speeds and by reducing operator fatigue from manual steering in straight rows. What's more, these post-emerge row crop guidance solutions help sprayer operators of all experience levels do a higher quality job because they can concentrate on other critical tasks besides steering. Let's further explore how you can improve productivity and quality for your operation and
So yeah, we won't go into the video all the way, but just wanted to give you an overview. It didn't say in the video, but as you're going along, if you have, like a planter that stopped planting or you just have a bad stand and those feelers or vision can't pick up that crop, it'll default to GPS and run your AB line. And then the sensors will pick back up when you get back into it. So I just wanted to touch very briefly on the 360 Yield Center. We are a dealer for these guys. If you're running something, or if you don't want the Deere solution, they came out with this 360 guide. It's probably been a year or two. But rather than it having two sensors, it basically mounts in the middle of your sprayer up front, and it's got two, like you're seeing there, so if it veers off one way, it'll correct it. It basically tees up where your receiver's at, and very easy to take off. It's just a couple pins up front, and it drops off when you're not using it. And then, if you're have an obstacle or something, it's on a magnetic breakaway, so if you hit something, it'll just pop back and then go back in. You don't have to have a RowSense activation like you do with the Deere, so this is about $2,000 cheaper. On most models, it runs around $5,500. But with this one, you cannot run it obviously on the combines like you can the Deere if you have that activation. So just another option if any of you guys are interested in it. So.
And that will work out tractor too. There's this guy for like side dressing.
I don't know. I know they have something they came out with called a glide. This is the guide. The glide is for your booms. So if you're, it basically takes into account your auto boom functions. So.
I just like the idea of, like you said earlier, maybe the planter drifted off or something, or maybe you guys do some custom spraying. Not everybody plants with AutoTrack. You get out there with your sprayer and they ask you to come spray it, and then are they gonna complain when you run over their rows? Well, this is a way for you to have less stress on stuff you didn't even plant. It might not be a guidance, it might not be an AutoTrack field that you've been on, or that you're going on, or maybe it's just a crappy guidance system the guy has. But you can go out there with more confidence, less stress, and get the job done with less time spent on it.
So we're gonna go a little bit into the operations center. Most, if not all of you guys have heard about this, so we're not gonna dive real deep, but we just want to put it in front of you. Operations Center's not going anywhere. We're just going to keep adding features to it. So basically what we can do with Operations Center, first off, all of our data we're out collecting, we're going to load up into the Operations Center, as far as our application data, seeding data, harvest data. But it's also a place where our machine alerts, which we'll get into this a little later, but our machine alerts, diagnostic trouble codes, expert alerts, things like that, we can look at on your guys' machines remotely. So as far as Operations Center goes, what needs to happen first, we have to partner with you guys to be able to view your diagnostic trouble codes and things like that. I guess as far as our data for planting, seeding, harvest, any kind of data you guys have, there's 3 ways to get it on here. A manual data transfer, which is where we go out, we stick a thumb drive in the display, bring it to a computer, manually load it up. And then there's mobile data transfer, where we've got a Wi-Fi enabled USB stick, and we can put it in the display and then wirelessly from that USB stick send it up. And then with JD Link, the machine will wirelessly send our data automatically. Every time you change a field name, it's going to package it up, send it up. You don't have any hands-on with that file transfer. I guess one thing I do want to mention, if you guys have data, now that we're in winter time, things are done, parked, if you guys have data, harvest data, fall harvest data, whatever it might be, sitting in a display, we can run out, stick a thumb drive in, and upload this stuff for you guys, as long as we're a partnered account. And we do that, free of charge, help you out with getting it up there. And then if there is any housekeeping things, as far as sometimes field names get loaded in the display, it's spelled wrong, or there's things that happen. We can help out with that housekeeping stuff too.
Might show them up here the data transfer. We'd be doing the same thing you would be. We're just offering to do it for you to help you out, get you started. But John Deere Data Manager, you got the mic. You might want to talk about it.
So yeah, this is if JD Link is not, if you don't have a JD Link capable machine, or the JD Link isn't activated, this John Deere Data Manager is what we use to get the data off the display and into the Operations Center. So when you click on that, it pops up and you download. It's a separate shortcut on your desktop. So then when you bring that data to the computer, this Data Manager opens up, and basically it's just like downloading a file onto a computer. You pick what drive your USB's in, and then choose your organization name, and that part goes pretty quick. What we have to keep in mind is it'll say that all your files are uploaded. It's a pretty quick process, but for it to actually show up in your organization, in the Field Manager or Field Analyzer app, it does take some time. Once those files get uploaded to your Operations Center, they'll show up in the files page, but they're grayed out because it's processing all the map information. But as they become available, they start showing up in Field Analyzer. So something to keep in mind. I mean, it's not instantly, you're able to view it. There is a little time involved. I mean, I've never had it. Most of the time when I do it, I'll upload them, go to lunch, come back, and most of them are done. But it depends on how many files, how full the display was, I guess. But this would be where you do it, where we would load it up for you if we're doing it for you, or if you're doing it yourself. That's the tool to use. I don't know what else. I guess we don't have to go real deep, but the files page there, that's where I'm talking. Once you get them uploaded through the data manager, they go into the files page, and there'll be a list by the date in order. And then once they show up there, go back. Once the files are processed in there, your field analyzer here will be where you'll be able to actually view them then after the files are processed. And hopefully you have more than one field in there.
So like Connor said, I know that you guys, this is not the first time you've heard us talk about, say the word data or operations center or anything like that. And it won't be the last time either, because we feel, we know, we see the product of what happens if you follow through with recording some of this data and use it. What is usable data? To different people, that means different things. It depends on where you want to go with your operation, what your plans are as far as, if you want to use the technology or the equipment that you've already purchased, if you want to use it to the full extent, or you just like some of the creature comforts of it, you like some of the things that make your life easier, that's fine. But our job is to make you aware of what your equipment is capable of. And some people don't understand what all it's capable of that you've already paid for. So, we talked to you about harvest data and what you can do with the yield map going forward, make an available rate prescription for your fertilizer, for your seed, stuff like that. So that's one aspect of it. Your planting data, your seed guy is going to want you to record your planting data, because they want to be able to look back and see what populations you planted, what varieties in certain areas when they go out, and maybe it's your seed guy, maybe it's your agronomist or whatever. But we're here for a sprayer clinic, and I want to talk to you about a different aspect of documentation. Some guys get really in depth about entering this stuff into the display, and that's great. Some guys just want it to paint a picture, and that's fine, I suppose, but as long as you're keeping your records in another form, that would be okay. The reason I say that is I come from a personal experience with spraying and documentation, and had my heart stop a couple times because of it. I'll tell you one story in particular. Maybe you guys can relate to it, but I used to run a commercial sprayer for several years before I started doing this stuff, and worked for a co-op. And you get to see, when you do that kind of stuff, you get to see all different aspects of spraying. You usually get handed the stuff that nobody else wants to spray for a reason, maybe. Well, there happened to be one thing that, 4 fields that no one in our co-op wanted to spray. In fact, we would flip a coin when it came time to spray one of these fields, because Mrs. Anderson lived right in the middle of all 4 of these fields. She didn't own a single one of them. All 4 of the fields were owned by different people. And not a one of those people, 4 farms, would spray those fields. They would always call the co-op, because every one of them had either been sued or threatened by sweet old Mrs. Anderson. So it was my turn one day. I drew the short straw, and they said, we got to do a burn down over here. And I said, okay, not going to happen today. I'm not doing it. There's just too much chance. Maybe a shifting wind or something. So, I was really cautious about whenever I would spray any of these fields around her place. So I waited a couple days, and I thought my time was right. And so I loaded up early in the morning and went out and I sprayed, and I knew that there was not a problem with the wind. There was not. I guaranteed it. And went out there and I sprayed that field, and she was outside. She would hear the sprayers, come close, and she'd go out and watch and stuff. And I had been talked to her before. I'd been out loading a rig before, and she came over and waved that bony finger in my face. And so I got the job done, and I left, and I was pretty confident. I did a good job spraying and killing it. Well, it was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days later, I'm driving to work in the morning, and I drive by her house every day to go to work. And I looked over, and she has flowers everywhere, and she has a garden, and she had a vineyard, and it was smoked, the whole thing. You could tell that the flowers were dead and the garden was wilting. So I thought, wow, I'm dead. There's no way I'm going to make it out of this. I didn't know how I killed it, but I must have. Well, I went to work, and nothing happened that day, nothing happened that week or that month, surprisingly. But she did. She called in like everybody knew she would. She complained to the state guy, and state guy one day, I was in the office. State guy comes rolling up, and he walks in and goes in the manager's office and says, we have a spray complaint. I'm pretty sure you know who it is, Mrs. Anderson. She called in, and I went over and looked, and all her stuff's dead. And so I wanted to just creep out of there, but nope, they gave me the finger and called me in. I said, I guarantee you the wind was right that day. And so I got out my spray records. Now, 20 years ago, we were handwriting them, as you guys know. There wasn't all this way to do it easily. And so I dug through my spray records. I found it. Started at this time, and the wind and everything. He looked at his records. He goes, yeah. Well, no, we actually showed that day the wind did shift out of the west. And I looked in my time. I said, I was done. I was done before that happened. Well, when all came out, when everybody went to, do some investigating, come to find out after I left, about 2 hours later, the county came by spraying ditches. And the wind was blowing, and they were just fogging it out there. And them guys, who knows? I'm not talking bad about county workers, but they smoked that entire yard, that property. And everyone thought I did it until we looked at the time. Because he also kept or his manager or whoever kept records, and he didn't go by until about 11 o'clock, and that's when the winds had already switched. So personal experience saved my tail, and I guarantee it saves a lot of people. Because another thing, it didn't happen that day. She didn't call in, and we didn't get to fight about it that day. I had to have records later, and I couldn't even remember off the top of my head. But luckily, our manager made us keep good records. So I don't know, if it's never happened to you, it will. And so take that little story with you and think about it's to cover yourself. Yeah, there's a lot of things, the records you can look back and see what this chemical did or whatnot, or what kind of where we went forward after you sprayed. Those are useful things about records. But in spraying alone, it's very important just to cover yourself about when and what you did and what the conditions were like, so you can verify on your end later on. Anyways, moving on. He talked about the operations center there. Very easy to use, very easy to set up. It's free. If you guys ever plant any channel seed, I know that you guys have been offered a field view way to document all your stuff and wirelessly transfer it and everything, and it was free when they gave it to you with the iPad and the hockey puck and all that. But now they turned around in year 2, it costs what? $1,000 a year. And so Operations Center is free. If you want to get your data up there, we have free ways to do it, or we have wireless ways to do it also. Our wireless way is JD Link. I'm sure you're familiar with the JD Link. We've had it for several years now. But we just had a price reduction a couple days ago. I think maybe the 14th it came out. And it's now down to $200 a year. And you can do up to 5 years. But normally it's $300 right now. And $300 is a steal compared to what it used to be. They keep going down in price. But they're running a special right now until May, I believe. $200 per machine per year. So if you don't want to hassle about getting that stuff unloaded from the display, it makes life a lot easier. If you know anybody that's doing it, ask them, and I bet they're not going to quit doing it. Very handy, very good tool to use. But again, like they said, if you want us to come out and manually get that data out of the display, help you get it up there, get you started, we are more than happy to do that. just to get you started. Completely secure way to do it. You don't have to worry about your data getting in the wrong hands or getting anything malicious towards you happening with your data. It's not going to happen. This is strictly just to hold your data, share your data with who you want to, and use it, analyze whatever you have recorded. So JD Link on sale for $200, the subscription for a little while. We do also have a 4G MTG. That's the cellular modem in your sprayer, combine, tractor that sends this data out. There is a deal on that right now where you can upgrade to a 4G for, I believe, $400, and that comes with a year subscription also in that $400. So you get a new MTG and a subscription. So a lot of you guys may be running around with pieces of equipment with 2G modems. They don't work anymore. 3G still work. There is a timeline on those, and so if you want to talk about getting out of that, or instead of putting a subscription on that one, just upgrading to a 4G, and that comes with a year subscription. There's many ways we can do it. And if you have questions, please ask.
And I might touch on something just real quick. He was talking about FieldView. If you guys are using FieldView and you are going to continue to do so, but you might want to have that data in a different place, you can make a connection between your FieldView and your Operations Center. So when you're bringing it in through FieldView, it'll automatically go to Operations Center. That way, in the future, if something happens maybe you stop using FieldView and you want that past data, it'll be in your guys' My John Deere account. So you can use both of them simultaneously.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize how easy it was until we got into a FieldView account, and it's basically check marking a box and picking what and putting your organization name of your operations center. And if you do that, your FieldView account's going to automatically just share that over to the operations center. FieldView's it's already a secure site. Operations Center's already a secure site. It's going to seamlessly do that, and it's really simple. We're not here to downplay FieldView at all. Okay, it is $1,000 a year, but either way, you can run both systems simultaneously, and this one's free. I think ours is pretty simple on how you would share data or even analyze it or make a prescription or anything like that. It's pretty simple to get around. So I'd like to talk to you about it. What's next? Expert. Yeah. So before we move on from JD Link, if you have a JD Link machine that's connected right now with a subscription and it's transferring data, one of the things John Deere does to make better equipment is they analyze the machine data and any codes that might be coming out of that machine. They're not sending codes to you to sabotage you. They're not doing anything. It's a receiving on John Deere's end. They are seeing what's going on with equipment, how it's being used and operated. One nice thing that's come out of this that we've experienced now is expert alerts. So we're now a dealer that receives expert alerts from pieces of equipment. Combines, tractors, sprayers. He was reminding me earlier, we've got a situation that happened up at Beloit. S-Series combine, problem with the transmission. And technicians looked it over. These are trained technicians that are very experienced with these things, and they, to our knowledge, it was something we were probably going to have to tear into the transmission. Well, an expert alert came through on that combine, and because of that alert, we learned that it was a solenoid that needed a small piece that needed to be replaced. We did not have to tear into the transmission. We did not have to do any major work, major expenses, and it was because an expert alert got sent out by that combine to our dealer. And when we get those, we alert the customer. We notify them what's going on. It also gives us how do you fix the problem. So in codes in the past, they were more vague and general, and this sensor's throwing a code. Well, why did the sensor throw a code? What made it do it? Is it just a bad sensor, or is something else that made that sensor throw the code, or did it escalate to that? With these expert alerts, we get a lot better explanation of why it happened, and now we get exactly how to fix it. And they look at those, and if they have a lot of those expert alerts coming, or John Deere has a lot of those alerts coming in, they say, obviously we have a problem on these 8R tractors with a certain whatever sensor. And so they can look at the whole, and they can say, yeah, we're going to put a PIP out. We're going to put out a PIP to replace all these sensors on these, and everybody's aware of it. That way, when you're out planting or whatever you're doing, you're not going to be shut down from something that everybody else has already been dealing with. You're already going to know that this is what's happening on the majority of machines. Expert alerts is not something you pay extra for, and it's not on all machines yet, but the list is growing as far as what models that are sending those out. So we feel like we're better able to take care of your machine. We're better able to make you aware of what's going on and before it breaks. So pretty handy tool. We've been liking it. We're ready for it to be expanded to more models, but pretty handy. What's next? Oh yeah. I'll pull up the simulator. Shifting gears, getting away from JD Link for a little bit. This might look foreign to some of you. Most of you it probably doesn't, because you've seen it at a clinic or maybe you own one of these. But this is a simulator of a Gen 4 display. So the Gen 4 displays are more and more common all the time. I'm sure you guys have heard of it if you haven't had your hands on one yet. But we don't want to go through the whole Gen 4 display. We've done that before. We would like to one-on-one with you, but we wanted to make you aware that we have Gen 4 displays that come in equipment, which would be like the 4600 Gen 4 display. That's going to come in your 7R, your 8R, your S-Series combine, your sprayers. All the new ones, they're going to come out of the factory with this Gen 4 display that's going to look like this. We also have the option to put a Gen 4 display in older sprayers now, back to 08 models. So if there's a 2008 or newer, we can put a 4640 Gen 4 display that's going to look just like this, going to work just like the 4600. So if you guys are interested in saying, or you got a 2630 in there with a bad screen or something, or you just want something different, you want something new, there's some advantage to the Gen 4 display. One thing would be section controls a little easier to tune. Makes more sense to some people of how you would do that, but just letting you know that option is out there. With the Gen 4 display, it's a little different. If it came with the piece of equipment, there's activations that stay with it the life of the display. If you're doing a 4640, which is going to be the universal Gen 4, and that's going to go in, you can basically retrofit it into older sprayers back to 08, older tractors. AutoTrack comes in base. So when you pull it out of the wrapper, it has AutoTrack. You don't have to buy an AutoTrack activation. But if you want to run section control, any kind of machine automation functions like that, those are going to be subscriptions. So a little different than what we've had in the past with the 2630. The Gen 4, the 4600, or the 4640, sorry, this universal one I'm talking about, it started out with everything with subscriptions, but they changed that. And now it's AutoTrack is in base. It comes with that, but you add subscriptions on an annual basis to do the section control and things like that. So maybe not for everybody, but it's out there. If you haven't had your hands on one to play with it, when you feel ready, it'll be there available for you. So we'd like to demo some this spring. We've got a couple that would be able to be demoed. If you guys want to just put some hours on one and try it, we'd like to come out and just show you how it works. So any questions about the Gen 4 displays?
Just one more thing, if you guys are interested in a Gen 4 display, moving, going from a 2600 to a 2630 or a 46 to a Gen 4 display, there are some incentives out there to help you out with that move. So
Yeah, we've got an unpublished program right now that's if you wanted to trade in a 2630 for a Gen 4 4640, they've got some money there to help you with that. Also, I guess going back to the FieldView deal, they also have a program for a little while. If you want to trade in one of those, if you're done using your little hockey puck for FieldView, if you want to trade that in, they are going to give you credit towards a 4G modem. If you wanted to upgrade to a 4G modem, you could do that, and they're going to give you some incentive money to get out of that FieldView hockey puck. So.
How much is a 4640?
with the auto track activation on there, it's around $8,900.
So, a brand new 2630 is $5,900. An auto track activation for that 2630 is $3,500. So you've got that, or you could go buy a Gen 4 display for $8,900, and it's going to have auto track on it. So,
What's the subscription for like
for section control, I believe it's $800 a year.
$850-ish. I just traded one out. The 2630 had auto track and section control, and he wanted to go to a 4640. And with the auto track activation and a 1-year subscription, there was a $300 difference on that trade.
Is there any value in the 2630 then, sale?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can still buy a brand new 2630, so they're not going to go anywhere for a while. And there's guys that like them, want them. So no, we're confident in the 2630 still. It's a good display. We've had pretty good luck with them.
If you guys are running out of memory on your 2630, that is one big thing about this Gen 4 display. It's got like 100 times the memory that those 2630s do. So if you're getting full and you're running out of stuff to delete, that's a problem that I'm seeing. So.
Yeah, I get in some of your cabs and I see the list of field names, and they're incredible. I don't know how you guys get them all covered, actually, but we have fought that with the 2630 some, and it was light years ahead of the 2600 as far as storage capacity. But yeah, the Gen 4, it's pretty impressive on the storage end of it. What else we got? Oh yeah. I've got a video of that too, the very last one, I believe. But I don't want to steal the parts guy's thunder, but I like this thing. This is a John Deere Express boom. Goes on the end of each boom section, and I'll show you a quick little video here. The second one down. So. Yeah, full page. Yeah, it's okay. Just let it run. Yeah, just X out and start over. There you go. Like I said, they'll go into detail about how to get it, what it costs, or the kit that it comes with. So they didn't. I thought I was going to show the different part of the animation, but what I want to show you is, we don't need to watch that yet. So the end of this boom cap is very easy to come off, and you can clean out that way. Or they'll show you there's a valve that you can just twist and clean out. But the air vent on this is what I was really interested and excited about for you guys. If you're not familiar with it or you don't currently have them, one problem we have with our booms when we're out spraying is air pressure buildup and relieving of that air pressure when we shut the boom off. When we come to the end of the field and the boom is commanded to shut off, the valves shut off, but you keep spraying because there's above 12 pounds of pressure on them boom sections. And your orifice, your shut off, your diaphragm I should say, in each nozzle body is 12 pounds. As long as you're above 12 pounds, it's going to keep spraying. So then I get this call that says, my boom shut off on the screen, I'm turning, I'm swinging out over this whatever, you know, and I'm still spraying. It's got to be my section control times. A lot of times it's not section control times. A lot of times it's excess pressure in that boom. And without being able to bleed that pressure off, your boom's going to continue to have that excess pressure and it's going to keep spraying. And so without a way to vent that air out, without a way to relieve that, you're going to keep dealing with that, and you're going to have to adjust your times for that, and it's not always going to be the same. So when you come to the end of the field and you exit the area that's already that you're spraying, you're coming into an area that's already been sprayed, watch that on your screen, and when that shuts off on your screen, that's really when those valves shut off. Then watch your booms. How long does it take before the product stops coming out? That's going to tell you a lot about you know, what kind of delay you're dealing with. But speaking of section control, I want to touch on, because that's a big thing we call, you know, accuracy of section control. We have a value-added service of going out and helping you tune that in. Handy. We like to do it with water because I'm standing out there and you're driving by me and I'm flagging where you're spraying. I don't like gramoxone in the face. So we have that, and that's a great way to tune it in and fine tune it. But when I leave the field, you have to run the exact same way. You have to run the exact same speed coming out of the field and going back into the field. Because if we tune that thing in for 8 miles an hour or whatever when you're coming across that line, it needs to stay that way. Your speed needs to stay that way. And I know you guys get in a hurry. I've ran a sprayer a lot, and so I understand what the days are like. But if you can get in a motion of doing the same thing consistently, in and out, until we get turn automation on a sprayer, it's up to human control to do that consistently. So make sure you cross the line at the same speed, then slow down or whatever. Cross the line back into the field, exact same speed every time, and then pour the coals to it. Get after it. But it's looking at several things in milliseconds, trying to decide when to turn those booms on and off. And if you're coming in and out of that field a different speed each time, it's going to greatly affect your accuracy of where you're spraying. So I don't want to, if I come out there or any of us come out there and help you tune it in, we have it just awesome, perfect, and then later on we have skips, and nothing else in the display's changed, it's probably going to be operator error. But to tighten those times up, to make it more accurate and more responsive to what you're seeing on the screen, these parts guys are going to talk about that Express End Cap, and it does a great job of relieving the air pressure and also cleaning the booms out. It getting rid of that residue that's built up or that's there. You might think you run clean water through it. It's still going to have some residue built up in there. So that does a great job of fixing that. Any questions? I've rambled on, did more than my fair share of talking. But if you guys got questions, feel free to ask.
So how are you supposed to put those end caps on without cutting the boom off?
They come in a kit, and there's on a poly or stainless.
Stainless.
On a stainless.
Every boom off to cut the tip off.
Yeah. They're just a clamp-on deal.
Got a flange off.
Ernie?
Matt, there's a special tool basically that goes onto the boom.
And it
at
cuts
the
it?
end, it goes down to the hole, and then you drill through this fixture.
Okay.
That way so it puts the hole in the proper
Okay.
place. We've got the tools for the standard flow and high flow boom tools. We have both tools available.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, I've never personally put one on, but I see the effects of them, and I like that side of it. So, any questions? Any more questions? Okay. next.